Hello everyone. Today's topic is unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. So the first thing is I want to introduce you what's the difference between them. And actually the second thing is I have to introduce you about the properties of life or the function of life. So the first thing is let's see what is unicellular organisms. So just like you see, the IBDP they provide two different examples for us. The first example is paramecium, and the second one is chlamydomonas. It's just some kind of algae that can do photosynthesis. So once you see an organism or a kind of species, it consists of only one cell. That means it's unicellular organisms. But on the other hand, just like you and me, we are human beings. Maybe there are a lot of cells, we consist of a lot of cells. That means we are multicellular organisms. But actually, I have to tell you that once an organism consists of two cells, at least two cells, that means it's also some kind of multicellular organisms. So just keep in mind. For example, just like you already learned at junior high school, just like the pollen tube, 花粉管. The pollen tube consists of only three cells, but it's still a kind of multicellular organisms. Okay, so keep in mind. But please don't think the unicellular organisms are too simple, or maybe. Okay, actually in Taiwan, we always say somebody, you are like a unicellular organism. That means we think this kind of people are very stupid. So it's not good. Because I have to tell you, every single cell of unicellular organisms can express every function of or every properties of life. For example, let's see the paramecium. The paramecium's function is, first thing is nutrition. What's nutrition? That means how it can get the nutrients from the environment, or maybe it can do something to produce the nutrients for itself. Paramecium is kind of heterotroph. In the future, I will explain to you. The heterotroph can fits on smaller organisms or maybe fits on smaller particles from the environment by ingesting and digesting them in vesicle. But actually, it needs some kind of organelles. What kind of organelles? Lysosome. Lysosome is kind of organelles consist of a lot of enzymes. And the second thing is growth. Growth means they can increase size and dry mass by accumulating organic matter. So the first thing is, once the paramecium is something from outside, and it will digest all the nutrients and produce what it needs on its own. For example, maybe it can digest some protein and hydrolyzes all the proteins into a lot of amino acids. And it can use the amino acids to produce other kind of proteins it need. Okay, so that's growth. And the response is the third one. Response means the paramecium can do some reaction once it feels some kind of stimulus from the environment. For example, maybe the paramecium swing in the water, and once it hits some stones or some particles just in front of it, it will try to get to right side or to the left side to find a way to go forward and escape from the barriers, escape from the particles or the stone. That's the response. And the fourth one is excretion. Excretion means once you are cell, you always produce a lot of waste through metabolism. So you have to expel the waste products of metabolism. For example, just like the example here, carbon dioxide. When you do the cellular respiration, you will produce water, carbon dioxide, and a lot of energy. Once you don't need them, you have to expel them. For example, just like us, we will expel the carbon dioxide from our lung. But for the paramecium, it's very easy because they are just one single cell, and their living environment is in water, so it can get rid of the carbon dioxide through the diffusion. Okay, and then let's see the metabolism. Once you are living thing, you need to do a lot of metabolism for yourself. For example, just like you have to do the cellular respiration and to produce a lot of energy. So so does paramecium. They have to do the cellular respiration, and once the cell want to do the cellular respiration, it will has a lot of energy, has a lot of enzymes to do that. For example, just like here, the enzyme which catalyze many different chemical reaction in the cytoplasm. Okay, and the homeostasis. Homeostasis means the cell have to keep some situation inside the cell stable. I think it's easier for you as an example. You will always keep your body temperature as 36.5 or 37. But in the paramecium, the most important thing for them is to keep the water stable. Just because they live in the just like the here in ponds, and maybe the other kind of algae in lives in fresh water, so the water is always getting inside the cell. And you have to know the left one, the paramecium, because it doesn't have any cell wall, so too much water will break the cell down. So that means the paramecium will die just because too much water getting into its cell. So let's see. The homeostasis, they have to keep internal conditions within limits. For example, just like expels excess water using contractile vacuums. Contractile vacuums. Okay, in Chinese, 伸缩泡. 伸缩泡. So I believe you know what it is. And the final one is reproduction. Okay, it's the most important thing. Every organism always try to produce some other organism just like themselves. For example, just like the paramecium, you will do the cell division and produce two of its offspring. Okay, and so do the chlamydomonas. You also do that just as you think. Okay, so I already produced 7 properties of life. So let's see the right one. Right one is some kind of algae, chlamydomonas, and I have to tell you this kind of terms. They are from Latin because Latin is a dead language, so you don't have to take care you don't have to care about its pronunciation, because whatever you say, I think if I can understand what you say is okay. So let's see the function of the algae. The first thing is nutrition, because the algae consists of the chloroplast. That means it can do the photosynthesis. So the algae can produce its own food by photosynthesis using a chloroplast. Chloroplast that occupies much of the cell, of course, because it needs a lot of energy for itself, and it can use energy, use nutrients to produce its offspring, and the growth. Growth is also due to things as the paramecium do. So it increases in size and dry mass due to photosynthesis and absorption of minerals. So that's kind of different between them, because the paramecium is kind of heterotroph. It has to eat something from outside. And the right algae is kind of autotroph. That means it can produce the nutrients on its own. So it can increase in size and dryness is due to the photosynthesis. Okay, and the third one is response. It's very interesting because you know that the plants can move or not. No, the plants cannot move. But this is algae, and the algae it consists of the kind of the structure, flagellum. Flagellum is also like the cilia in the Paramecium. They are the two different. They are both for movement. So let's see here. When the algae senses where the brightest light is with its eye spot. Okay, you can see where it is. Okay, here is eye spot. Here's eye spot. Actually, it's not inside the chloroplast, but I don't know why the IB just drew the eye spot inside the chloroplast. Okay, never mind. And the algae will try to swim toward it. And the fourth one is expel waste production. Okay. Actually, oxygen is useful for heterotroph, just like us. But I have to tell you, for plant and algae, oxygen is kind of waste products from the photosynthesis. So actually, the oxygen is too much for them, so they have to expel oxygen as waste products. Okay, and you can see the final three parts, metabolism and the homeostasis and the reproduction is both can do for them. But I just have to tell you the first four part, the first four function, nutrition, growth, response, and excretion, just is kind of a little difference between them. But actually, I believe that you understand it. The main point is every unicellular organism can express all the properties or all the function of life. Okay, let's see the multicellular organisms. What's the key points for us? The first thing is multicellular organisms. We care its surface area to volume ratio. I already asked you to do some tasks or activities in my class. It's SA ratio. SA ratio. What is it? Because you know that the cell cannot too big, but the cell cannot be too small too. If you are too big, you will not have enough surface area for exchanging minerals, the gas, just like carbon dioxide or oxygen. And if the cell is too small, I know that the surface area is enough, but because it's too small, it can't consist enough organelles or structure inside the cell. So let's see all the paragraphs here. So you can see that the rate at which minerals enter or leave a cell depends on the surface area of the cell. However, the rate at which materials are used or produced depends on the volume. Okay? So we can see the two key terms, surface and the volume. Surface area and the volume. So when a cell becomes too big, may not be able to take in essential materials or excrete waste substances quickly. That's a problem. Or maybe if you cannot do this as soon as possible, the waste products may be kill the cell. So we think the surface area is very important, or maybe the cell needs a lot of energy. If it can't have enough surface area, it can't get enough oxygen to do the cellular respiration. It's not good for it. Okay, so because we are multicellular organism, so you know that we have a big volume, but that doesn't mean we have a big cell. That just means we have a lot of cells, and every single cell is very small, just like unicellular organisms. So you can see large organisms are always multicellular. But right now we have to understand something. The in multicellular organisms, every cell have to do cooperation. For example, just like I already introduced you the properties of life, but maybe inside your body, because we are multicellular cell, some actually almost every single cell just can express some properties of life. For example, just like your skin cell. Your skin cell cannot express the function of life just like the reproduction, right? Okay, so I wish that you can understand. If you need a lot of different cells inside the multicellular organisms, you have to do the process. The process name is differentiation. Differentiation. What is differentiation? So first thing is you have to think about in the beginning of your life. You are a sperm and an egg. When the egg and the sperm combine together, they will produce a zygote. And the zygote can just express one thing. What it can do is just mitosis. Or just maybe I can tell you that cell division. Cell division. So okay, the drawing right show two of the hundreds of types of differentiated cells in human beings. Yeah, just like see here, the first thing is the heart muscle tissue and the pancreatic islet beta cell. So I wish that you can check on internet the heart muscle tissue. Actually, we can use other words to describe it more specific. So let's see what is differentiation. First thing I have to let you know, your genome, your genome are always the same, or maybe I can say always identical in every single cell of yourself. Of course, mine is different from you, but inside your body, we believe they can all have the same genomes. So let's see in the next paragraph, or not the paragraph, this next sentence. Once every single cell has the same or has the same or has a identical genome, how can they be so many different type? Just because we will do that. During differentiation, a cell uses only the genes that it needs to follow its pathway for development. Just because when you are fetus just maybe just like a baby inside your mother, the your cell will try to find ways to express its own functions, and they know how to do that. For example, just like as I say your skin cell, what can it do? The skin cell, the purpose of its life is just to produce a lot of proteins and to form a cuticle on the surface of your body to protect your body from low losing water. Okay? So maybe some genes are used for the skin cell, and actually most genes are not used for the skin cell. Okay, so we can see here, for example, the genes for making hemoglobin. What's hemoglobin? Okay, it's kind of proteins inside the red blood cell. So the hemoglobin are only expressed in developing red blood cells. Okay, just like I say. Once a pathway of development has begun in a cell, it's usually fixed, and the cell cannot change to a different pathway. Just like your skin cell cannot change to other kind of cell, can your skin cell produce insulin? No. Okay, can your skin cell can detect any stimulus from the environment? No. So that's the meaning of it's usually fixed. It's usually fixed. Okay, the cell is said to be committed. Committed. Or maybe you can say the cell is fixed, but we rarely use the words. We always use the words is committed just because the cell cannot change its function, its morphology or its shape. It's just what it just can express its function or its properties of life assigned to it. Okay, let's see. The first one is heart muscle cell. So the muscle cell is big and it can try to do the contract. Contract means they can be shortened, and that's why you can do something with your muscle. Okay, and the second one is the kind of cell from your pancreas, and it's a pancreatic islet beta cell. That means it can secrete insulin. Insulin, what's insulin? 胰岛素，胰岛素. Okay, but here in the normal situation, the beta cell always try to store the insulin inside its cell. So wait for the odors or maybe wait for it detect they are to higher concentration of glucose, and it will try to secrete the insulin. And the insulin can help you to lower down the glucose level, lower down the glucose concentration. Okay, let's see the final one. It's very special here. Emergent properties. What's emergent properties? 我们中文叫 in Chinese we call it 新生特质。新生特质。What does it mean? For example, when you just get one skin cell from a multicellular organism, and can you know what the role the organism play in ecosystem? No, you will not know its function of the whole organism. You just can know is the skin's function. So when you combine different parts of life, of a cell, of a tissue, of an organ, you can see more and more function you never know before. For example, okay, maybe I can just produce you something. When I give you organelles, we call it mitochondria. You just know the mitochondria can help you to do the cellular respiration. But you don't know the function of the cell. You don't know the function of the tissue. It's just what you know is they need energy. So the emergent properties, that means when you combine something together, you can see more function from here. So we sometimes sum this up with a phrase. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. But actually, just like I teach you in a few minutes ago, I think my explanation is better than IBDP's textbook. Okay, and the multicellular organisms have properties that emerge from the interaction of their cellular components. Okay, for example, each single cell in a tiger is just a unit, and you don't know what the tiger is. So maybe just like the retina cell, 视网膜. The retina cells can sense the light. But all the tigers are cells combined given additional emergent properties. For example, the tiger can hunt and kill and have a profound ecological effect on its ecosystem. That means once the retinal cells, we don't know how can the organism do. Just because the retinal cells can make the lion, make the tiger can see everything from the environment. So finally, when we combine different kind of organelles and the different type of cell, finally the tiger can hunt and kill and have a profound ecological effect on its ecosystem. Okay, let's see you next time.